I have long been a fan of John Hillcoat's, and so I was just incredibly excited, to be honest, to even receive a script that he was going to be directing. And of course, it's just so brilliantly written, and it's incredibly cool, something totally different from me. I mean, playing a truly brutal, horrible, horrific human being isn't something that I have done before, and playing a Russian-Israeli mafia boss, basically. I mean, she's the matriarch of a Russian criminal family, and she's running her husband's operation whilst he is in prison, and she's a very, very powerful individual. And I suppose I just hadn't imagined that I would be asked to play a role like that in my lifetime, and so it was a particularly exciting opportunity for me. And of course, I was told the other cast members when I was sent the script at the same time as being sent the script, and so that was very irresistible as well. You know, it's always so much fun to be in the company of wonderful, interesting actors, and it does make it all the more exciting and challenging and fun. She's the matriarch of this Russian criminal family, and her relationship to Michael, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, she's the aunt to his son, and Michael has a relationship with Yelena, who is my sister in the story, and so she's kind of stuck with Michael, who's running these operations for her, carrying out these criminal objectives for her, but at the same time she is emotionally embroiled to a certain extent because she really adores her little nephew. So that is my position. She's pretty powerful, runs the show, and causes terrible destruction. I'd never met him or worked with him before, and so I was very, very excited to have that experience, and it was wonderful working with him. I mean, he's like any great actor, you know, very prepared and extremely focused, and you know, ready to play, and I really enjoyed that. Very, very calm as well, you know. It was great. It was great working with him. He is a director of these incredibly brutal films. I mean, he isn't shy of blood, and he isn't shy of shootouts, and he just goes for it. And I'm a huge admirer of that attitude in him, actually. He doesn't hide behind anything, and he just tells it how it is. And yes, his films are quite shocking, but he doesn't do it for shock value. He doesn't do it just to sort of make people gasp and cover their eyes. He does it because it's part of the story that he's trying to tell, and his intention to tell that story in as honest a way as possible is so genuine, and he's very, very well prepared. I really appreciated the research that he provided all of us as actors with. He had put together a really wonderful sort of visual map of the film that accompanied really his take on the story, with lots and lots of writing. And I then discovered that it wasn't just something that he shared with the cast, he shared it with the entire crew. So he really wants the experience of making a film to be something that we all share, that every department feels they're included and as important as the next person, and telling the same story ultimately. And that's quite unique, I have to say, for a director to really genuinely have the desire to include every single person on the set. Creating the accent for Irina was probably the most daunting part of it for me. And actually, William Conacher, who I was lucky enough came along to be the dialect coach with me, is a friend from films I've worked on in the past. And I called him before I even said yes to 999. I called him and I said, okay, can we do Russian Israeli? And he said, of course we can. What is it? I said, what's the film or the accent? He said, well, both. I said, but you're the dialect coach. He said, well, we'll figure it out. Of course we can. Don't be ridiculous. And I thought, okay. So then said yes, and then was very much over to William and said, okay, well, how do we do this? And it was really a case of listening to a lot of dialect samples that we managed to obtain together, because she isn't just Russian. She's Russian Israeli, so it's a complicated dialect. Nothing straightforward about it at all, and every day was quite terrifying, and I just had to be very prepared. I probably spent more time, I think, preparing the dialect than I actually spent on set shooting days, because it was just something that I just had to get it right. Costume design as well as production design, they are responsible for creating that world, and as an actor, it makes it all the more pleasurable to step into that role and step into that world when it is so exquisitely placed and planned. And I think I do have to say that the production design on this film is really extraordinary, because it's just all so real. I mean, it really is brutal and horrible and looks very real, and also in Irina's world looks incredibly opulent in the way that it truly would have done, and that very much goes against with the brutality of what she is asking people to do, and so I think the contrast of those two worlds is quite shocking.